When people talk about the Vikings, they focus on ships, raids and sagas. But, one of the most overlooked achievements of the Norse world is the way they handled wood. They lived in a climate where timber should have rotted almost as fast as it was cut. Wet coastal air, deep snow, long thaws, and almost constant moisture. Yet the archaeological record tells a different story. Viking beams pulled from old longhouses still hold strength. Planks from shipyards remain intact. Fence posts dug up from farm sites still show preserved surfaces. For the first minute, consider what that means. These people didn't just build for their own lifetimes. They built with techniques that outlasted generations. Techniques so effective that even today you can study their craftsmanship by running your hand along wood that's nearly 1,000 years old. This guide breaks down the practical, no-nonsense methods the Vikings used to make wood last forever, long before chemicals or pressure treating existed. And for anyone interested in bushcraft, homesteading, heritage carpentry or survival engineering, every one of these methods is still usable today. The Vikings began with the most fundamental rule: harvest winter wood, or don't bother at all. Viking carpenters understood that the life of the wood was determined the moment the tree fell. They felled timber in deep winter, because that was when the sap retreated into the roots. Sap is sugar, and sugar is what fungi and insects eat. When a tree is cut in summer, it is essentially a feast. When it is cut in winter, it is a skeleton, harder, drier, and far less appealing to anything that causes rot. This wasn't folklore. It was, in fact, the result of centuries of observation. Icelandic sagas mention winter wood as a prize material for shipbuilding. Scandinavian homesteaders, followed the same practice well into the 20th century. Anyone today can apply this immediately. If you are cutting your own logs, wait for winter. But if you must cut outside winter, strip the bark quickly and season the wood in a dry, ventilated area to reduce rot risks. Now, winter harvesting alone can, double the lifespan of structural timber. The Vikings then shaped the wood in a way that, preserved strength instead of exposing weakness. Riven wood, split along the natural grain, was the Viking standard. Saw cuts slice through fibres and expose end grain, which, rather like a straw, sucks in moisture. Split wood, on the other hand, keeps the grain intact, creating longer-lasting beams and planks. This is why Viking longships used overlapping split planks. They flexed with the waves, resisted moisture penetration, and stayed strong without swelling cracks. This technique is accessible today with an axe, wedges and, a bit of patience. For anyone building an off-grid structure, tool handles, or even simple outdoor furniture, split wood lasts longer, warps less, and resists rot naturally. A riven post set outdoors will often outlive a sawn post by decades. The Vikings protected wood with one of the oldest and most effective natural preservatives in the world: pine tar. Pine tar was the backbone of Norse wood preservation. It wasn't a decorative coating. It was a deep penetrating, water-shedding, antimicrobial resin produced through slow pyrolysis. The process involved heating pine roots and stumps in a sealed, oxygen-limited pit so that the tar condensed and drained into a collecting vessel. The result was a substance that repelled insects, discouraged fungi, waterproof surfaces, and remained flexible in freezing weather. Every Viking ship was tarred. Longhouses used tar on outer beams. Shields, tools, and carts received yearly applications. Tar maintenance was a normal part of life, and that maintenance explains why so many Viking structures retained strength for generations. These days, anyone can make small batches of pine tar, you know. All you need to do is collect resin-rich pine rootwood, dig a simple pit, use an inverted vessel for collection, and then, well, just apply low heat for several hours. The resulting tar, it can be brushed onto warm wood. It's a bit messy, but honestly, it's extraordinarily effective. Commercial pine tar is also available and can be used for a whole range of homestead projects, from fence posts to outdoor timbers. The Vikings, well, they extended longevity even further by charring wood that touched the soil. Charring was used on any part of the timber meant to sit in the ground or face constant moisture. The technique didn't reduce the wood to ash. It created a thin carbon shell. Carbon is rot-resistant, insect-resistant, and slow to absorb water. Archaeologists regularly find Norse fence posts where the charred portions remain intact long after the raw upper sections have weathered away. Survivalists and traditional builders still use this method. All it really requires is, turning the wood above a fire until the surface blackens evenly. Brush away the loose soot, leave the carbon layer, and then set the post. Whether you're building fences, shelters, or raised bed frames, charred ends last significantly longer than untreated ones. The Vikings ensured longevity by seasoning wood slowly and keeping it off the ground. Seasoning was not rushed. Wood was stacked under longhouse eaves, raised on stones or crossbeams so air could circulate. Ventilation allowed moisture to escape evenly, preventing mold, splitting, or internal rot. The Norse also avoided letting stored timber touch soil, a mistake that modern builders make constantly. A single season of ground contact can destroy the lower cells of a beam and invite fungus upward. For today's builders, the method is simple. Store lumber under a roof, raised on stone pads or pallets, spaced for airflow. This alone, drastically extends service life. The true Viking advantage was combining every step into a single preservation system. The power of Viking woodcraft wasn't one trick. It was the layering of several practical, observation-based steps. Winter harvesting reduced sap. Riving preserved grain. Slow seasoning stabilized fibers. Charring protected the vulnerable sections. Pine tar sealed everything. And, regular maintenance made the effect compound year after year. Anyone working with wood today, bushcrafters, cabin builders, reenactors or historians, can follow this same system with excellent results. It's sustainable, proven, and requires nothing modern beyond fire, resin and, discipline. If you found this guide useful, subscribe to Relic Logic and share it with others who appreciate real historical craftsmanship and the practical survival knowledge buried inside it.